which MacBook should you buy in 2022? In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you my upfront conclusion to save you a lot of time, but also discuss the pros and cons of each device, why I personally would choose a 14-inch MacBook Pro, and also a buyer's recommendation on what upgrades are worth your money. Okay, as promised, here is my upfront conclusion for you. I believe that 90% of you guys watching this video should go out and buy the M1 MacBook Air. It's the cheapest option that gives you the most value per dollar. It has excellent battery life, it's light and portable, it has a solid display with good colors and sharpness, a good set of speakers for media consumption, and it's powered by the M1 processor, which has been proven to perform very well in all kinds of workflows. It starts at $1,000, but you can buy the laptop on sale, you can buy it used, or if you're a student, you can get Apple's education discount, which makes it even cheaper. And for our professionals and heavy computer users watching this video, I would save your money until you can afford a 14-inch MacBook Pro. Okay, there you have it. That is the conclusion of this video. If that's all you came for, please drop a like and subscribe if you're brand new to my channel. But if you do want to stick around, we're going to dive now into the pros and cons and all the details of each MacBook in this video. Okay, so let's start with the M1 MacBook Air. I've already told you all the great things about it, but now I want to focus on the drawbacks. The design is a little outdated. It looks old, especially when you have it side by side with the more expensive 2022 MacBook Air. The display is good, but in 2022 standards, it does feel like it could be a lot better. It does not get that bright, so it will be challenging to use in sunny outdoor settings. It also only has 2 USB-C ports and a headphone jack. And also out of the box, the M1 MacBook Air only supports up to 1 external display natively, so something to keep in mind if you care about that. Now let's move on to the brand new 2022 M2 MacBook Air, which has improved upon the M1 MacBook Air in many ways. Number one is that the design has been refreshed. It's the lightest and thinnest MacBook that Apple sells today. Number two is that it has the best display put in a MacBook Air ever. It's edge to edge and it features Apple's Liquid Retina technology, which I think looks great. Colors are more accurate, sharper, and look better on this laptop. It also features a brand new MagSafe charging port, which is awesome because it frees up more space to use the USB-C ports for something else. The speakers on this laptop are fantastic as well. It's a newer 4-speaker system that supports surround sound through Dolby Atmos and spatial audio. This is something that is just not possible on the older MacBook Air, and I can attest that it does work. This isn't just technical jargon. If you are watching Dolby Atmos enabled content, it will sound pretty good on this MacBook. It also has a slightly faster M2 processor that will give you some improvements in performance across all types of workflows on this laptop. If I'm being honest, I'm a little hesitant in using this as a positive for the newer MacBook because if you are in the demographic of a MacBook Air buyer, the performance difference between M1 and M2 shouldn't really factor into your buying decision. I really want you to hyper focus on the other features, those nice to have features like the display, the speakers, the better webcam, the new design. That's what you want to think about when you're considering spending $200 more on this more expensive MacBook Air, because remember, at the end of the day, the older MacBook Air and the newer MacBook Air, they can do the exact same thing. So it just comes down to, do you want something that looks nice and is prettier and does better, nicer things? Or are you okay to have the old school look that still gets the job done? Okay, I just want to briefly talk about the 13-inch MacBook Pro powered by M2. I don't think any of you guys watching this video should consider that laptop. Yes, it does have a built-in fan, so you theoretically will get longer sustained performance. And yes, the battery life on that MacBook Pro is the best out of this entire lineup. But if you are looking for a pro level computer, I don't think the MacBook Pro 13-inch is pro. I really think you're much better off saving your money until you can afford at least the 14-inch MacBook Pro. That will give you actual record-breaking, life-changing, sustained performance gains. that will help you in your creative or professional workflows. But before we keep going, I want to thank today's video sponsor, Satechi. They are an Apple certified brand that sent 5 game-changing accessories to consider for your Apple devices. They have an elegant 3-in-1 wireless charging stand, a beautiful headphone stand for your AirPods Max, a USB-C hub that turns your iPad into a desktop computer anywhere you go, or an elegant stand for your MacBook on your desk. My personal favorite, however, is their Apple Watch USB-C charger. I can plug it into anything with a USB-C port and easily charge my watch anywhere. If you do want to support my channel and you do want to actually purchase some of these products, please use the link in the description down below to show Satechi some love. But anyways, thank you so much, Satechi, for sponsoring today's video. Okay, so I can confidently say that the 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pro is one of the best products Apple has made in a very long time. And it's the reason why I would choose that as my MacBook out of this entire list in the video. There are virtually no negatives to this purchase. It provides incredible value for the price that you pay, and I'm gonna show you why. Number one, it features the best display of any laptop, period. It's a mini LED, 120 Hz, high refresh rate, liquid retina XDR display. Okay, so what does that all mean? It just means your jaw will drop every time you look at something on this computer. This MacBook also has an incredible set of speakers that outclasses every MacBook in this video. It's a 6-speaker, Dolby Atmos and spatial audio enabled system. It's much richer in bass, gets much louder, better sound separation than any other MacBook in this video. So if you care about speakers, this one does an awesome job for sure. It also has a ton of ports as well. There are 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports, an SD card reader, headphone jack, MagSafe, and HDMI. It can feature an M1 Pro or M1 Max processor, which is leagues ahead in terms of performance between the M1 and even the newer released M2 processor. If you are a professional, creator, or somebody who does any kind of heavy workload on your computer, you will love how powerful this machine is. Okay, so now let's talk about the upgrades that are worth the money depending on the laptop you buy. First, starting with the MacBook Air. If you're a MacBook Air prospective buyer, the first thing you're gonna wanna consider is whether or not you need more RAM. These all start at 8 GB of RAM, and I think for 90% of you watching this video, I strongly believe you don't need more than that. I think you should only consider upgrading to 16 GB of RAM if you want the freedom to explore creative or heavy workloads on your computer, but that shouldn't be the primary focus. If you're focused on professional, heavy workloads, I wouldn't consider the MacBook Air. Save your money and consider the MacBook Pro. Now, in terms of storage for MacBook Air buyers, it all starts at 256 GB of storage. And I think for a lot of you, I'm gonna say you will be happier and benefit from going to 512 gigs at least, just to give you that headroom, especially for people who wanna own this laptop for at least 5 years. But what I will say is that if you are very intentional about what you put on your MacBook and you know it's not gonna add up to more than 256 gigs of storage, just get the base model. That's what I've done and it's worked fine for me. And it's gonna save you a ton of money, at least $150 to $200, and you can use that for something else in your life. Okay, so now let's talk about the bigger budget buyers watching this video, which is looking towards the MacBook Pros. Like I said, we're not gonna consider the 13-inch MacBook Pro. We're gonna jump all the way to the 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pro. Number one, those come with at a base of 16 gigs of RAM and 512 of storage. I think a lot of you would actually be quite happy with that configuration. Personally, I've been happy with it, but I have regretted it a little bit because I've just been so happy with this laptop. I could have benefited a little bit more from the extra juice and power that was available to me. So I think a lot of you would actually benefit from a terabyte or 2 terabytes of storage, and even going up to 32 or 64 gigs of RAM if your workflow calls for it. 64 gigs actually, maybe not a lot of you need that, but definitely 32 I think is the sweet spot, and I feel I personally should have went to that sweet spot, but 16 gigs is good enough. I'm gonna tell you that again, it's good enough, and 512 gigabytes of storage is okay. But if you're a creator like me or just a heavy person on your computer, you're gonna put a lot of stuff on there, just go to 1 terabyte or 2 terabytes. These are extremely fast SSDs in these MacBook Pros. Those upgrades are worth the money for sure if you do need it. Okay, so to summarize this video, if you are on a tight budget, buy the M1 MacBook Air. If you want the most luxurious, thin MacBook Air experience out today, purchase the M2 MacBook Air. Do not consider buying the 13-inch M2 MacBook Pro because if you are looking for a pro level experience, it will pay you dividends for a lifetime. To save your money, to at least buy the 14 or 16-inch MacBook Pro. Those are real pro computers. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Drop a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.